Hi Darren, it's early morning in Australia, midnight here. Thank you for taking the time to talk with us.
My pleasure, Gabriel.
Have you been? How's the Australian summer? Everything okay down there?
We're having a very hot Australian summer at the moment, so everything is going well, and I head back to the US in about a week to get ready for Indian Wells in Miami. So business as normal back here.
We will jump directly to the subject. How did you receive Simona's announcement, her retirement, and did you knew since a long time that she plans to retire now?
No, I did not know. I think it came as a surprise to everybody, and it was mixed emotions for me. Clearly, she's a great champion, incredible person, both on and off the court, and retirement comes for everybody at some stage, and I guess in Simona's mind she decided that this was the end, a great way to finish her career in front of her home fans in Cluj. The perfect scenario actually, and what a remarkable career and so much to celebrate, and I'm just happy that she got to do it on her terms and she did it in front of her home fans. So I think it must have been a wonderful moment for everybody that was there.
Definitely it was, but do you think that there will be a bigger retirement event?
You would probably know that more than I would. I'm not sure. I think she deserves it for sure. She's one of the greatest champions Romania's ever seen in any sport, maybe the best ever. And certainly you could consider her the best ever tennis player from Romania. I know Nastase won a couple of majors as well and got to world number one, but Simona spent over 60 weeks as world number one. She's a Wimbledon champion. She took out one of the all-time greats, Serena Williams, in the final at Wimbledon. So there is so much to celebrate with her career. I think at some point, on her terms, if she wants, it would be wonderful if there was a bigger celebration to walk through her career and all the magical and wonderful things that she did through her career, but that'll be something for Simona to decide.
How much do you think that the lengthy suspension influenced her retirement decision?
Well, it could not have been easy, that's for sure. She had a couple of years at the end of her career taken away from her, and I think it's not just the fact of her age, but also the difficulties mentally to be able to keep working through that period. No one can really understand that until you go through it. So she'd worked pretty hard to get herself back into the top 10, and then when this happens, you have to stop instantly, and just the training and the mental fatigue and wear down fact that it takes on any athlete, not just Simona, would be indescribable, to be honest. So I think it was disappointing that a couple of years was certainly taken away from her, but I think the most important thing is that we need to focus on what we have to celebrate with someone like Simona and her career and what she achieved and all the wonderful things she did throughout her career. And I think that is the legacy that she wants to leave. She's an inspiration for the next generation of players coming through, not just Romanian tennis players, but certainly for the young generation, and in the way she went about her tennis, her work ethic, her resilience, her purpose, her belief, and she had to build up that belief over the years, and she was a beacon or an icon for everybody coming through that says, I can do this. And I see Simona Halep, and she's not overly tall, she's fast around the court, she doesn't have massive big weapons from the back of the court, but she's a heck of a smart player, and she has a work ethic that's as good as anybody on the tour has ever seen. And if she can do it, maybe I can do it too, and she's the reason why the young generation dreams of these types of things. So that's what we need to focus on for her career. It was an amazing career. She spent a ton of weeks entrenched in the top 5, and because of the way she plays, I think that's one of the more remarkable records that she will ever hold. So I take my hat off to her. She's a great champion, but more importantly than being a great champion off the court, she's a champion off the court as well.
Yeah, you said the way that she plays, we could see her desire to come back, but the body didn't help her anymore. Do you think that there was some other solution for her to extend her career?
That's hard to say, because physically, if you lose that amount of time, especially with the way she plays, inevitably you're always going to feel some aches and pains and some physical problems. So I'm not exactly sure of the extent of her injuries. I know she suffered with a knee problem for quite a while, for the last 12 months. And it's a decision whether to try to heal that knee problem naturally or to go in and have surgery with it as well. And I know she was toying with the idea of possibly doing that, but in the end, life is bigger than that as well, and she's always tried to avoid those types of things in the first place. And I think you could see that the ball striking was still there in the match in Cluj, but the movement wasn't quite what it was. And for Simona to play the type of tennis that she wants to play and she needs to play to be successful, she definitely needs her legs and her movement in and out of the corners, and it wasn't quite there the other night.
She said at the press conference after her retirement that maybe if she had those points back with her ranking, maybe she had a chance to fight and to go further. What do you think WTA did wrong in everything that happened after the decision of the International Court?
Well, I think they should have reinstated her ranking for the 3 months. So her ultimate suspension for no significant fault, and she was cleared from doing anything intentional, which was the major thing for her. So the CAS hearing and the outcome at CAS may have been her greatest victory, because it cleared her integrity, it gave her character, and everything that she's achieved over the years, it was given back, because it was stated that she never ingested anything intentional, and she certainly didn't try to cheat. So that was the most important thing for her. The ban was 9 months, and I believe that her ranking still would have been good enough to get into a lot of these tournaments for the following 3 months, even though she was out of the game for about 18 months. And I think the WTA let her down by not reinstating her ranking for those 3 months that was certainly robbed from her.
When you remember your collaboration, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Sneaky sense of humor, to be perfectly honest. I remember the first day that we practiced together at Indian Wells, and I remember her hitting 19 great forehands cross court and missing the 20th forehand, and then seeing her throw the racket across the court. And as it's bouncing across the court, I'm trying to work out why she's so upset with missing one forehand. And I said to her, Simona, what's the problem? Your forehand looks great. She goes, no, Darren, I don't feel the forehand. I don't feel the forehand at all. The backhand's perfect. The backhand's perfect, but I don't feel the forehand. She sent me a photo at the end of that night, basically saying she's a little bit different. It might take a little bit of time to get used to her, but she might be unusual, but it'll be worth it if I stick with her. And I remember that humor like yesterday. And the most important thing with Simona was her integrity, her honesty, for good and for bad. Whenever she was asked a question, she would answer it honestly. And I think that she wore her heart on the sleeve for everybody to see. And I think that's why she was also the WTA fan favorite for so many years, is because people could connect with her. They understood her. They understood the struggles that she was going through, the fights she was going through, the failures that she had, which everybody has in life. And then they really connected with her ability to be resilient and to keep fighting and to keep putting herself into a place that magic might happen. And eventually it did. And that's why her successes at Roland Garros and at Wimbledon and becoming the world #1 resonated so much with the people of Romania, and certainly with the people inside of tennis as well, because we could see her journey so clearly and everybody was well connected to it. So for me, that was the most important thing. She's a person of great character, privileged to be able to call her one of my great friends, and I do cherish and honor every single day that I got to work with her. She's an amazing person.
If you can talk please about the journey to the first Grand Slam, because we know that she had to surpass a lot of disappointments, a lot of hurdles. You were there with her. How was it to finally be a Grand Slam champions when she won in Paris?
Yeah, I've spoken about this a lot actually, and people do ask me the question about, from a coaching point of view, what is the one moment you do remember the most? And for sure it is that. And I've been lucky that I've been able to work with a few good players, a few great players. And that moment in Roland Garros when she finally overcame that hurdle, for me, yeah, I still get goosebumps thinking about it because of what she went through and the strength that she showed to be able to get back and put herself back in that position. And we go back 12 months before that with the match against Jelena Ostapenko and having so many chances in that match. And even she thought at that point that maybe this destiny is not for me. Maybe it'll never happen. And she was so close, leading a set and a break. And then after a couple of days, she gets back onto the court and she just keeps going hard and keeps working and keeps believing and keeps pushing. And she had another chance at the Australian Open at 2018, had a break in the third set against Wozniacki and just didn't get there in the end. Wozniacki played well in the last 3 games and took it away from her, and credit to Caroline. And then you rock up to Roland Garros and here we go again. And to see the focus and determination in her eye, and the draw was tough for her. She had some incredibly tough matches to get through to the final, and then she was down a set and a break in that final. But the journey that she had been on and the way she was improving as a tennis player, and certainly her problem-solving skills, being able to work out what's going wrong in a match and then changing her game and finding ways to get back into matches she would never normally have done. Normally those matches would have slipped away from her pretty quickly, but she was a different player in 2018, 2019, and she was finding ways to cause problems for her opponents. And for me as a coach, that was the most enjoyable thing to see her turn that match around and then run away with it in the third set is one of the most magical moments I've ever had, to be completely honest. So I can't even imagine what it was like for her. I do remember one quick story with Mr. Tiriac grabbing me before the match started, and he put his hand on my shoulder, and I was nervous like everybody else, and he looked at me and said, "How are we feeling? We feeling good? Are we ready?" And I said, "We're ready, Mr. Tiriac. I think she's going to play well. She's playing great tennis and we're ready to win." And he goes, "We need to win." And I said, "Yeah, no shit, we need to win. It's really important that we win." He goes, No. We need to win for Romania because Romania needs this." And he said it in a nice way, but he was relaying how important it was for the country because everybody was following her journey, and it was such a big thing at that time. And I walked away from thinking, oh my God, if I wasn't nervous before, I'm certainly nervous now. But I can't even imagine how she's feeling. And I'm sure she knew that, but to be able to deal with that pressure and then to be able to put that aside and to get out there and make it happen, that's all her. That's all Simona. And she deserves all the accolades she gets.
Definitely, she will be remembered as a very good player, one of the best sports athletes in Romania. But the large audience in the world, how do you think that the public will remember Simona, the tennis fans around the world?
For her honesty, for her grit, for her determination, for her speed around the court, as a 2-time champion, as a world #1 for over 60 weeks. I think she won 24 tournaments and 9 or 10 of those were Masters 1000s events. They'll remember her for her performances and for breaking new ground for Romania, for being an inspiration to the next generation, for all the good that she brought to Romanian tennis and tennis around the world. That's how she will be remembered.
And to end in a funny note, do you have another funny story with Simona? You told us the training from Indian Wells, that practice session, but maybe you have some other funny memory.
Look, I have many funny stories regarding her. I think my greatest failure with Simona was trying to get her to have a beer. As you know, Australians like to go out, work hard, celebrate, win or lose, doesn't matter, go and have a good dinner and have a beer. And I spent 5 or 6 years trying to talk her into having a beer and becoming a little bit of an Australian, and I failed miserably in that manner. So we had many a times when I would put a beer in front of her and she'd just push it away and go, "Not for me, Darren, I'm not having a beer." So I think that's my greatest failure when working with Simona, is I never was able to get a little bit of Australian into her with having a beer at night time. But she's a wonderful person, an incredible sense of humour. I think the most important thing is that she enjoyed everything she did on tour. And you get to a certain age as well where you become a little bit tired of the travel, a little bit tired of the training, a little bit tired of the rehab especially. And tennis is such a mental game that it can wear you down over the long run. And I think after what Simona's been through the last 2 or 3 years, I feel like maybe even more mentally, she seemed to be more worn down than physically, and it took its toll. And it's no wonder with the way she played and what she was able to achieve and the amount of time that she stayed in the top 5. So it's no surprise that she's hung up her rackets, and I'm just thankful she got to do that in front of her family and her fans there in Romania. But a wonderful person and someone that I'll have great memories of forever, and we're friends forever as well. So our friendship doesn't stop here with her retirement, it continues forever.
Definitely. Maybe now that she retired, maybe you can drink that beer with her. Maybe she will accept when she hung the racket.
I might need a little help from you, Gabriel. So whenever you're ready and I'm back in Romania, maybe we can go out and we can coerce her into having a beer or two. Definitely.
We did this interview about Simona because it's her moment, her retirement. But I have only one question about you. You have announced that this year is your last year as a coach. Why don't you want to continue when you coach the world number one now?
So there's always a bit of a window, I believe, with any coach being able to impart as much good stuff as possible, and normally that window is around about 3 to 5 years anyway. So with Yannick, it's getting to that point where there's always a time when you need some new inspiration and a new set of eyes and new direction from somebody different. So with the role that I have with Yannick at the moment, it's going to be the right time for him to either bring somebody else in or even continue just alone with Simone, who's doing an amazing job himself. So, and the other big thing for me is that you just know in your gut when the time is right. Maybe it's a little bit like Simona as well, where she knew the time was right to stop. I know the time is right for me to stop traveling 35, 40 weeks of the year and working one-on-one with a player. I won't leave tennis. I'm still planning on doing the commentary with ESPN, who I work for in the United States, and maybe keeping a little involved on the court with some players, but not traveling one-on-one with a player. And it's just the right time for him and also the right time for me. And it also gives Yannick a chance to plan the future and to go out and determine what is best for him. Is it another coach? Is it going solo with Simone? He has a chance now to talk to other coaches and work out what is best for him moving forward. And the transition is natural and friendly and well organized. So that is the reason why we came to that decision. And I'm old now also, Gabrielle. I will be 60 at the end of this year. So it's time for me to slow down a little bit more and spend a bit more time with the family and most importantly, enjoy life away from tennis, which I'm looking forward to.